With the new VR update coming to PC, I've had many requests to check it out, mainly to see if the interactions are finally updated and then compare it to the PSVR2 version. Graphics are last on the list because VR mechanics or lack of them were the real issue up until the new PSVR2 version happened. And that was almost exactly 6 months ago, which makes me think the new VR mode was exclusive for PSVR2 since I believe Sony funded it for a fixed time. In this update for both systems though, we got the Freelancer mode, which is basically a roguelike, offering tons of replayability due to unlocks and being able to customize Agent 47's living space, along with this Sarajevo Six DLC. So on that front, this is a huge welcome update that brings Hitman perfectly in line with the entire game. And oddly enough, in the notes they also updated the OG PSVR version to bring it in line with PSVR2. So in my testing, you now have two fully working arms on PCVR. You can use two-handed weapons and aiming feels good, but it doesn't feel as good or as smooth as PSVR2, but overall it's definitely a welcome step. Using weapons single-handedly though does feel fine. And yes, you can rack the guns and reload them just like any other FPS. The interactions, which are now not only just a button press, they are gesture based, and these make Hitman more immersive than ever on PCVR. You have front holsters, a back holster, and grabbing items to use, say a knife or a keycard, means you have to grab the item and bring it to your chest and then pull away again to open your inventory. You can then grab the item with your offhand or press a button to use the item with the same hand the menu is displayed in. The button press and the interactions do sometimes clash, but it only takes a little bit of time to adjust to this. You can throw items using an auto aim or with your offhand, hold the opposite trigger to create a virtual aiming arch, but to be honest, I never really use this system. I've also encountered a few bugs on PCVR, like my controllers simply vanishing so I can't actually interact with anything in the game, so obviously that led to a restart. And then there's times when in-game actions just suddenly don't work. Even though everything else does seem to work, your hands are still present. But again, a simple restart does fix the issue. I think a lot of players were hoping the third-person camera was going to get updated so we could play the whole game just in first person. But the third-person camera is still here and I don't mind it. Sometimes it's actually an advantage, especially when you're watching targets or people of interest while blending into the background. But to move the camera in third person, it's all about click turning. And if you lose sight of Agent 47, say when you're climbing a drain pipe, you have to click the next camera to realign it. Overall though, this is nothing but a huge improvement for PCVR players, and it makes the game so much more immersive to play. Graphically though, there's definitely something not right with the new update, and I think it's because you don't have the eye tracking in combination with foveated rendering that you get on PSVR2. And on PCVR, the game now has a softer presentation. When I went into the game options, I found turning DLSS off, that's if you have an Nvidia card, which is on by default. It does actually improve the clarity, but only marginally, but the return was a less smoother experience. In a direct comparison to the PSVR2 version, I would say PSVR2 actually almost has double the resolution, or at least it looks that way, and the frame rate is constantly smooth. I'm not here to bash the Hitman update for PCVR because it's something we've always wanted, but as someone who has access to PSVR2, the difference between these two versions is pretty much night and day. Oddly enough though, before this update, Hitman on PC looked absolutely gorgeous. Don't get me wrong, it still does look nice, but the new softness is a bit of a shame. But at least the game itself is much more enjoyable now, and IOI have now delivered Hitman VR in a playable state as it should have been many years ago. If you're on the fence of what system to buy this game on now for some reason, I would definitely say PSVR2 is the way to go. It genuinely feels and looks better to play, especially using two-handed weapons. But we need to remember, since they've now updated the PCVR version and added a whole host of new game modes including Freelancer, I do expect PCVR players to start using the new VR mode and giving feedback. And I do believe that IOI will be adding some new updates as time goes on. Well, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
No visual.